Hi everyone, I am Mrs. Davis. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day you have carved out to watch this video. Thank you. I am grateful to you for taking the time to learn a little bit more about your student's science class. As I said, my name is Kirsten Davis, and I am going to talk a little bit about what the course entails, as well as the technology that we're using right now, primarily Schoology and Onenote, and go over where you can easily find course materials right now for your 8th grader. So let's first talk a little bit about the course. And I'm going to back up here. You can always reach me at kdavis@wcsd.net. A little bit about myself. My background is in geology and geoscience. This is where my interest in science began. And I love the content area of 8th grade and feel very fortunate that I get to teach 8th grade science because we spend a lot of time on the geosciences and earth science. I have a son, Jay, who's a little over a year and a half, keeps me busy, keeps me on my toes, and I have such an appreciation for all of you middle school parents who are juggling your career while helping your student learn and manage their schedule at home. So I know that this is presenting a lot of challenges for most of you, and just wanted to express my gratitude and also let you know that I'm here for whatever you need, and I'll stay as flexible as possible during these difficult times for remote learning. Talking a little bit about the goals for the year. So first and foremost, I really hope to convey to students that science is more than a content course where you memorize facts. We spend a lot of time focused on content because we are still building up our background knowledge in science, but I want students to know that science is a tool that they can use to explore the world in whatever field they decide to take on as their career. It's a way to verify information and validate it, and I hope that they can see it as a lifelong lens that they can inspect the world from. So following that, building academic confidence is really key in middle school, helping students to feel successful, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that that happens. The focus is really for students to build the confidence to reach out to me and to show ownership of their grades and their learning experience, and to let me know when they need extra time or extra help, or would say that they didn't do as well in an assessment that they would like, as they would have liked, but that they are willing to study or work with me, and then they would appreciate a retake. And all of those things, as long as the student's taking the initiative, I'm really happy to work with them on any of that. Building scientific literacy skills. So what I mean by this is learning basically how to research, how to look through information to find the key bits that we're looking for, and how to cite information and present it. So we'll spend a lot of time thinking creatively about how we can do that, especially in this remote setting. And then the development of 21st century learning skills. This is probably a concept that is now looking a lot different than it was when I originally started teaching, but students are certainly going to be unique learners through this process, and it's important that as their teacher I guide them through the technology and also help them to use it to think critically and not just use it as a stream of information. The topics of study for the course, we're going to start the year with ecology, which we talk about the biosphere and how all living things interact. And we also spend the whole year really focusing on the spheres of the Earth. So the biosphere, the atmosphere, the geosphere, and the hydrosphere, and how those systems interact and make our planet so unique. So after ecology, we'll move on to meteorology, the study of weather systems, climate, and we'll focus on how to make a weather forecast and what variables go into that. Then later we will move to geology, rocks and minerals, plate tectonics, all of that fun stuff that I really love, and we've moved it a little bit back in the year than we normally start the year with this, but there's so many great hands-on labs that we're hoping that we'll be back to complete in brick and mortar setting. And then biology keystone prep at the end of the year will be kind of your students' introduction to their 9th grade science content, starting to build some of those foundations. So I want to talk a little bit about Schoology, show you our Schoology page and how it's set up and where to find things, and also talk to you about Onenote. It's a digital binder that I use to organize student materials, and I've used it in the brick and mortar setting and now using it in the remote setting. So here we have a Schoology page. All the Schoology pages are set up pretty much the same, whatever period your student's in. The icon will be a little bit different. Contact information at the top. There's always a Zoom link as the first link in the material section, although I also include Zoom links in the calendar event. The green folder, the first folder on the page, is the current week, and it displays the dates and the assignments that will be completed that week. Past assignments can be found in the black folder at the bottom, and it would show all previous weeks with the most recent at the top. If I click on our week folder that we are currently working in, you'll see all the assignments that students are working on this week. If it's the end of the week, they'll all be live. Otherwise, you'll only see the ones that have been released so far and the date that they're released. So if your student's learning in the remote setting, then we have scheduled Zoom classes that are mandatory. If your student is learning in the cyber setting, then we have Zoom classes as well, but they are not required. So I'll always post videos for both remote and cyber to give students a chance to catch up if they have missed a class in the remote setting, and to give our cyber students perspective on the week. At the beginning of a Zoom class, I take attendance by using a Google form, and it's just some basic information: their name, their class period, how are they feeling today, how are things going outside of school, and then if there's anything that they want to share with me, maybe it's something that they're doing this weekend that they're excited about, maybe it's a question they have in the class. It's a nice check-in for students who are feeling a little shy. It's a lot harder, I'm finding, for students to share over the remote Zoom classroom than they would in the brick and mortar setting. So it's a good opportunity for students to check in with me while their questions fresh in their mind at the beginning of class. All right, so on the right-hand side, we'll have our calendar reminders. The green folder is where we'll find whatever content we're working on that week, and past assignments in the black folder. Your student is also able to access the online textbook by clicking on this McGraw-Hill app in the left-hand corner, launching that, and it'll take them to our purple science book for 8th grade science content. So this is Schoology, and hopefully it looks similar to some of your other Schoology classes for your students. Try to keep it as simple as possible and as easy to follow as possible. Moving on to OneNote. So OneNote is a digital notebook that I've used for several years now. And if you think of it as you would think of a paper binder, then the tabs that separate the paper sections, or each section, would be found at the top. and the pages that are contained within each section would be found on the right-hand side, unless your student's using the online version, which looks a little bit different. How OneNote works is, if you're not familiar, is students can type in the answers and it will save automatically for them, and they don't have to submit anything that they type. So this would be an example of a note sheet that we did in class for the metric system, and you'll see that I have also linked my YouTube presentation for this material. So if they miss class or if they are a cyber student, that is easily accessible to them and they can use that to fill in the information for these guided notes. Sometimes we'll have projects in here, and students can also work in the collaboration space with other students. I also include in here a weekly checklist. So each week students can view the week ahead of time. This is week 3. So this tells them that on the 14th, this is the assignment. They can either submit it in Schoology or they can complete it in OneNote. As we're transitioning to using OneNote more often, I want to let students know that they still have the Google Doc option, but I would like to transition us to using primarily OneNote. The due date is included, and then students can check off when they've completed the assignment and tell me the date that they have completed the assignment. Students can also check off how they felt about the assignment. So it's a nice way for me to go in and look at who might be struggling with something and who is doing perfectly fine. And if they had any questions about the assignment, they could type them there as well. Right now, I'm keeping the checklist optional, but if I see a student struggling, then this might be part of a plan to get caught up. And that is it for basically what OneNote is. It's materials that are being pushed out to students into different tab sections, and I keep the pages numbered so that they can easily keep track of what page we're on. And it's nice because it doesn't require any submission or any saving, and you can even work on it. If you're using the desktop version, you can work without the internet, so that's a benefit as well. So I can see what students are doing live, check in with them. I can make adjustments to their notebook while they're working in it remotely. So those are all a lot of positives that I see to using OneNote in the classroom, especially remotely. So thank you so much for watching this recording, and I am excited to learn new technologies with your students to keep science interesting and keep us learning more about the world around us, and also working with some new tools that the district has provided, such as gizmos, which will be used for virtual labs, and hopefully get us closer to that authentic teaching experience in the brick and mortar setting. So please reach out to me anytime if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them, and I will be posting a Google form in the announcements, so it'll appear at the top of your student science Schoology page on the date of this back to school night. So please reach out anytime. Happy to work with your students and remain flexible during this remote learning time, but also in the brick and mortar setting as well. Take care.